Hey guys, Animated Heroine here, and yes, I am still working on the Corpse Bride and Nightmare Before Christmas review. Problem is, I don't have enough space in this apartment to do any green screening or special effects whatsoever. I actually have to film that elsewhere, and in the last month and a half to 2 months, I have not had any chance to do so. There has been a lot going on. But I still want to do videos, so I figure while I wait to get a chance to do some of that stuff, why not go back to some of my old concepts like On the Rack. The first couple of videos I did for this series were a movie from my childhood, We're Back, and a movie that I knew was going to be bad because I'd already seen part of it, Planet 51. And I kind of want to go in a different direction with this series. Rather than picking movies that I have seen and know are bad, maybe pick movies at random that I haven't seen or know very little about that are probably still going to be bad because that was the point of the series, but go into it basically knowing nothing. Because the whole point, the reason I came up with the title, was that it was supposed to be like a used video store rack or a clearance rack and just picking movies at random, and paired with the graphic of the torture device because jokes. And why not start with a movie that I nabbed on its way to the trash? So I figure I haven't watched this yet. I'm going to as soon as I stop recording this. It was $3 at Big Lots. It's never been opened. And I figure I'll start the videos off with reading the blib in the back, and then I will watch the movie and do a full-fledged review on it. Most likely a bad one. So here we have Animals United, Adventures in Africa. It looks like not even a Madagascar ripoff. It looks like a Wilds ripoff, which fills me with terror. So the back says, get ready for the survival of the funniest. In the African savannah, all of the animals are wondering what happened to the water. Billy the meerkat and his best buddy Socrates the lion set out in search of water with the help of their friends Angie the elephant and Giselle the giraffe. On their incredible journey to find the water and to save their family and friends, they run into a motley crew of animals new to Africa. A rooster, a polar bear, a kangaroo, a koala, a Tasmanian devil, and 2 turtles who join them for the adventure. The animals discover that the water is being held for a human luxury resort, so they decide to unite and call on all creatures large and small to fight back. It's a true call of the wild for an action-packed African adventure full of family fun. You can even see it's family approved there at the bottom. Came out in 2010, and it even says the scope aspect ratio of its original theatrical exhibition, which I think that might mean that it might have even had a theatrical release, which is weird because I've never heard of this movie. So, with that said, let's look at Animals United.
Lately, when I'm staring out of my window, when I rest my head on my pillow, I just think of all the things that I need to be. You say that I gotta live up to your reasons. You're always coming up with new ones, and all these expectations are crashing down on me. But darling, can't you see? I may talk a little too much, I may get a little out of touch. I'm a little crazy and I'm not around enough. I may play a little too rough, I may get a little bit wound up. I'm a little lazy and I tend to interrupt. But lately I've been thinking that it's you that doesn't measure up.
Where do I even start with this movie? It's nearly impossible to go into a decent synopsis of the film and know the one on the back of the box is not sufficient. It's one of the worst paced films I have ever seen. It didn't take me long to realize that this movie was clearly foreign. At first I thought it was British because it has a significant amount of British voice actors, but after looking it up, I found that it is apparently German, which would explain why I've never heard of it. What it does not explain is why they made an American dubbed version. I know trying to sum this film up is just going to confuse me, but I'll give it a try anyways. So the movie is kind of about Billy, who is a meerkat voiced by someone that I was convinced was James McAvoy, but wound up being another British guy named James Corbin, who sounds strikingly like him.
It's okay, I'll work it all out.
Billy, you're such a dreamer. What will happen to us?
I promise. This time I'm not gonna let you down.
I say the movie is kind of about him because honestly there are way too many characters in this film and none of them are particularly well developed. He has a vegetarian friend named Socrates who is a lion and also maybe the main character based on the fact that he really doesn't have too much less screen time than Billy and also kind of has a character arc. And here's your first problem. If the audience can't tell who is important in your movie, you've done something wrong. Anyway, Billy is depicted as your typical scatterbrained, incompetent character, but unlike good movies where this is shown through various scenes where the characters are behaving scatterbrained or incompetent, it basically boils down to one scene at the beginning of the film where he's supposed to be collecting water for his family, but is instead playing golf with Hyena Poo.
You hit Hyena Poo Poo into a hole.
With a stick?
Oh, with a stick.
Bingo!
Interesting.
And this is enough to have his daughter, or son, I can't tell, renounce him as her/his father, I guess. A good movie might give a little more context and weight, but this is not a good movie. Upon traveling to the water, it's found that the stream is drying up, and Billy decides to go looking to see where the water went to prove that he's not incompetent, and he sings about it.
Trailer for sailoring.
That is not your voice. Well, this song might be kind of crummy, but hey, they have other songs such as French Beyond the Sea and the Hokey Pokey. They play that one twice. I guess that was the only licensed music they could afford.
Right foot in and you shake it all about. You do the hokey pokey and you turn yourself around. That's what it's all about.
Socrates joins him along with a lot of other random animals who vary in importance from kind of to not even a little, and they wind up at a resort which has dammed the water up for their own uses. So it's up to Billy and the other characters, who probably have names, to get the water back. So in keeping with the on the rack formula, let's count down the 3 reasons why this film is terrible. Reason number 3. This joke right here. This happens on at least 4 occasions. The Tasmanian devil farts out of every orifice. Proof that not only do American films have lowbrow humor, German films do too. Reason number 2. This movie is poorly constructed in every way. It makes no sense. In normal circumstances, you'd expect there to be like an explanation as to why all these animals are together. But this movie skips all of that entirely in lieu of moving the plot along. I'm not kidding. There are like brief scenes with all of these animals, introducing them individually and kind of showing how they leave their current homes. Like the polar bear winds up stranded on ice, the turtles are on their anniversary, the kangaroo and Tasmanian devil meet while fleeing from fire. But then it just cuts to a scene with everyone in a floating bathtub without any explanation as to how they all met each other. And I was getting on Madagascar 3's case for its quick cuts. This movie makes that film look incredibly well paced, because this kind of thing happens all the time in this movie. It's like if in The Lord of the Rings you have like a 1-minute introduction to all of the characters, and then suddenly it cuts to them traveling together. And that's just one of many occasions when this happens. Now I'll admit that I may have blanked out a couple times, but nowhere near enough to lose track of whole scenes that weren't there to explain how character A got to location C. For instance, where did the kangaroo in Tasmanian Devil get a speedboat? When did the monkey acquire that airplane? How did everyone get to Africa? What is with the random tragic backstory? Why did we need all of these characters? Half of them disappear from the film after one or two scenes. The koala is mentioned in the summary on the back of the box and is on the cover of the DVD case. He's not even really a character. It would be like having a line in the summary about that cockroach in the beginning of WALL-E. But the weirdest and most non-sequitur moment comes about 3/4 through the film. After a hunter named Hunter chases our heroes away from the resort and the animals return to the African desert to get reinforcements, they convince the other animals to join by letting the turtles, who maybe had like 2 or 3 lines prior to this scene, make a speech.
And because of this, we have lost everything. Our beloved home is sadly no more. Where once were blooming flowers of all colors is now dry and arid. Where once the very air vibrated with the twittering of thousands of kinds of birds is now only silence. Where once seals and the beasts of the ocean bobbed in the waves, all life is now at an end.
Like 15 minutes ago, we were doing this.
Splish splash, I was taking a bath, all about a Saturday night. Rubber duck, just relaxing in the tub, thinking everything was alright.
Where did this come from? Then, after saying all of this, they die. I'm not kidding. They die. Thanks for that? Way to use Jim Broadbent to his full potential. But even after all of that, there is another reason why this film is terrible. The number one reason is the ending. Now technically, this could fit into the last category because it's about as confusing an ending as I've ever seen. For some reason, after the scene that should have closed out the movie, where the characters have the water back and everyone lives happily ever after, the movie keeps going. There's an additional scene that takes place in New York City. And then, well, here, I'll just play it for you. Oh no, it's 1998 Godzilla. Where did they get the whale? It wasn't in the movie before this. How, in Africa, did they track down a whale and get it to take them to New York? Because I'm dead serious, this is the first time we've ever seen it.
I see that we may entertain some unexpected visitors. And it appears that the animals are finally going to make us accountable for our actions.
That is terrifying. Is this sequel bait some last-minute attempt to make this an environmental film? Be good to the environment, or else one day the animals will overthrow mankind. What a strange way to end this movie. Why is this here? Why does this exist? So there you have it. Animals United. I regret rescuing this film from the garbage. In fact, I am going to remedy this right now. I'm the Animated Heroine, and the wild still might be worse.
Lately, when I'm staring out of my window, when I rest my head on my pillow, I just think of all the things that I need to be. You say that I gotta live up to your reasons. You're always coming up with new ones, and all these expectations are crashing down on me. But darling, can't you see? I may talk a little too much, I may get a little out of touch. I'm a little crazy and I'm not around enough. I may play a little too rough, I may get a little bit wound up. I'm a little lazy and I tend to interrupt, but lately I've been thinking that it's you that doesn't measure up.